Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for this special conversation with two of Seva's originals, Johanna Romney and Wavy Gravy. This is the summer of Wavy. It was his birthday in May. He turned 86, and we really like to celebrate our clown prince. And one way to do that is to sit down and have a good conversation. And I just finished mine, and I look forward to sharing that with you. They need no introduction. These are two individuals that have spent their entire lives committed to social justice and humanity, making sure that individuals live a life full of dignity and joy. And one of the many ways that they manifest that in the world is through their love and support of the Seva Foundation that they helped to found 40 some odd years ago. So come on and stick around for this conversation. It's a terrific one. You'll hear some stories you've never heard before, and you're going to hear some insights that you maybe haven't heard before. And I get a chance to ask them a couple of questions, even on behalf of our young youth ambassador program, around tactics and ideas for how to be an activist in the world today. So without further ado, please join me for this special conversation with two of Seva's most beloved founders, Johanna Romney and Wavy Gravy. Wavy, thank you. Johanna, thank you for doing this for Seva Foundation. You know, this has been a long conversation around the originals. You're trailblazers. We love you. The first question that we had for you, Wavy, was really wondering, you know, it's a difficult time, right? So what advice do you have for people finding joy? What do you do to help you find joy and help you get up in the morning?
How do I find joy and get up in the morning? Whoopee! I try to put my good word to the most, and that gets me buzzing. And one thing after the other.
Well, you know, that's where your good does the most. That's something that's becoming a battle cry for the Seva team. Johanna, what we were thinking about is, you know, Guatemala now is a place that our partner, Visual Lisa, feels that they can maybe end avoidable blindness in our lifetime in the next 10 years. But you got that party started decades ago in the 80s. And I was wondering if you could just give a little insight to, you were the first girl on the ground there, and you were a big advocate for us working in Guatemala. And I'm wondering, what can you remember from that time, and how was it to negotiate with your fellow Seva board members?
Spill it.
Well,
Spill it, the tea.
yeah, you know, it just seems so trivial. I enjoyed wearing the Guatemalan weaving, and I was attracted to the artistry of the human beings down there. And then I discovered that they were in a really difficult, which I won't go into, political and tragic time of their history. And my friend went down to Guatemala, and I went with her just because I was sort of interested in the area, and ended up on a plane with somebody behind me, a young couple who worked in Guatemala with refugees who were coming. They were going to Mexico, we were going to Mexico, and there were people behind us talking loudly to each other who were working with refugees who were pouring out of Mexico in what they had on their backs when they left, carrying children and no extra clothes, and they were talking about it, and so I turned around and introduced myself and said, "Tell me more." And they were working with finding ways to bring relief to people who were without anything. And so I thought, maybe there's something here. You know, we have, Seva Foundation has resources and is looking to give light where there is not light. And I thought maybe I could find out what could be done that actually would be useful, and bring it back and talk to the community in Seva about it, and that's what I did. And I made a presentation. I think I asked for $5,000 or something. I made that presentation, I'm sure, with a lot of emotion in my voice, and then Seva said, yes, let's start there, and we'd like to know who you're working with, and let's communicate with them. And then I remember singing when I sent the thing to the board.
Yeah.
And singing at the mailbox and just singing like a prayer. People are going to think I'm crazy, but take it off. Go. Create good if you can where you land.
Yeah.
And Seva said yes. Turned into a big project.
It
went
turned
on
into-
for years.
Yeah. It was a
Schools and groceries and breakfast.
yeah. It was a big project.
Friends.
Very good friends. And I think it's also transformed into one of the strongest relationships we have now that we're focusing on site. The Visual Lisa partners in Guatemala are trailblazers. They have a plan for Guatemala. They think they can eliminate blindness in our lifetime, and they also feel that they can create a blueprint for the rest of the Americas. So something, that relationship, that impetus from the 1980s, your connection to Chiapas, and that human connection has really has some long-standing goodness is coming from
Yes. And the person from Mexico who we then met, named Alejandra,
that.
became the person who focused that project on the other side of the border, and an extremely good friend of mine, and for a while served on Seva's board.
Oh wow!
Yes, and she has passed on now, but I just want to say her name, Alejandra Alvarez, folks. She was a bright light.
Well, Wavy, we have to talk about music. We have to talk about this extraordinary relationship that you built for Seva. You've built a community that loves Seva. You, for many years, the music and the pipeline that you contributed helped to fund and bankroll the work that we do at Seva. So music has been such an important role for us getting people behind this cause. Do you have any favorite memories or stories about concerts that you've helped to organize?
Well, that's always been my job, is to starting that I was the MC at the Woodstock Music Festival.
What we have in mind is breakfast in bed for 400,000.
Right.
And I was the MC of that, so I got to know all these musicians personally. So when I came up to anybody that I knew that could play music in front of people and raise funds for Seva, it was not that difficult. How would you like to play some tunes to make blind people see? And nobody ever said, no, I don't want to do that. They said, yeah, and it depended on their calendar. And that's always been the dance that I have had to deal with, is that people always wanted to help, but the timing was always quite difficult. But every now and then, somebody would land on the right spot and I'd have a show. And the show would turned into eye surgeries on the other side of the world.
Yeah. One that's famous for us, the Third Eyeball outside of Toronto in the mid-1980s.
Oh, yeah,
Do you
well,
remember your 50th birthday party?
The Third Eyeball was with the band and the Grateful Dead.
Right.
I mean, what an amazing combination of tunage. And it just exploded on the Canadian scene. And we began to do that in Canada because we had this gorgeous venue to be able to do it in, and we just it just buzzed through the community. I ran into a publicist that I became friends with in the area in Canada, named Dick Flohill, and we got together and spread the word about Seva and used music to light up the dance. That being the eye surgery on the other side of the world, that somebody singing a couple tunes turns into cash, that turns into people not bumping into stuff. What a treat.
Is it true that there was a bathtub of chocolate pudding? Is that true?
Oh yeah, well that was on my 50th birthday party, which was a Seva benefit. Was
Right.
it a John? Was it a Seva benefit?
Yeah.
And then
Well, it must have been.
yes, and
Why else would we have?
I was a chocolate head, and they decided to amaze me with a bathtub full of chocolate pudding with 50 candles around it, large plumber's candles, and I'm expected to blow out these candles in front of thousands of people, and I bent to the task, took a deep breath, and as I began to expire air from out of the bowels of the pudding rose my then 11, 12-year-old son with a snorkel and a frog mask and cracked my brain. I mean,
That was what we were trying to do. We said, how can we really blow Wavy's mind on this important day? He's just had been through so much. What can we still offer that will completely surprise him? That was the deal.
you've heard that expression before, blown my mind?
Yeah.
This blew my mind. And utterly. I mean, there he came out of the pudding and bam, where my mind went, I have no idea. But I understand that I was at a reception after the mind blow and the music, and I was quite articulate, speaking of Seva, and caused many people to illuminate to our beautiful task of helping people on the other side of the world not bump into stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it ever since. How many years is it now?
It has to be 42,
Right.
Or
43,
43.
probably more.
Seva?
For Seva, 43. And then the organizing that you did even before then.
Yeah, I thought it was even more than that, but we've
Maybe half a
Oh
century.
yeah, 1920.
No, it's 43.
Yeah, it's 43.
Yeah.
we can see that once they've committed to doing a task, it's really stuck it out.
Yeah. So I know after decades of raising money, you got to see Aravind in India, right? You got to see the surgeries. You finally got to see it.
Yeah, I never thought that I would. I always wanted to take that money that would fly me to the other side of the world and turn it into eye surgeries on the other side of the world so people could get sight rather than send me there. I don't, I'm just an old clown. But it came to pass somehow or other that it became quite easy for it to occur. So I got to go there. And first to India and then to Nepal and see the projects actually before my very eyes. And I actually got to go into an operating room and put on doctor's clothes and, like scrub up and all that and see the poorest of the poor having a cataract removed and a small, tiny interocular lens being sewn into their eyeball, so suddenly they had sight. And it was the most illuminating and amazing moment of my entire life.
Can't get better. Can't get better than that.
And the two of you both had your own cataracts done recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh,
I've had both eyes done now, and Wavy's had one eye, and soon coming
yeah.
another one. And it's an amazing, miraculous thing. Is as good as its advertising.
Yeah.
It's like you go into an operating room and almost nothing happens. And then you come back and a couple days later you have clear sight in that one eye. What? How could it be this easy? How could it be this real?
Wow.
What a blessing.
Yeah.
And then after we had that experience for ourselves, it made it even a deeper imprint on us. That we'd been working for so many years for this to be able to happen for others. It was like, yes, right step.
To paraphrase Humphrey Bogart, here's looking at you, kid.
Oh my goodness. Well, we took some questions from kids, and we have a youth ambassador program, and they have two questions. One is, what advice do you have for young activists? I know that you just went to a 5th grade graduation today, and you heard kids changing the world, what their plans were.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times when people hear of the life that you've led and the commitment to social justice, the commitment to doing putting your good where it does the most, people sometimes wonder, like, well, what advice would you have for somebody who wants to be an activist in this world?
I have some advice. If you watch what lights up for you, you don't make a mistake if you follow that path. And I consider it a message from the great manager in the sky. If I'm really feeling like, oh my goodness, that's, going there is not a mistake. I feel like that is not just a hunch, or that it's a message. And I've learned to take it as a real message and say thank you. And there's many good things can be done, but this could be done by me, and so I chose Seva.
Wow, and we're so glad that you did. And Wavy, they have a question for you. What advice do you have for the young, growing, wannabe clowns out there in the world? What advice do you have for them?
Well, let's see. A clown is a poet who's also an orangutan, and to use humor to cause laughter, which is the valve on the pressure cooker of life, that enables you to go in to do hard stuff. Laughter is a key, and to take the difficulty things and turn it into fun. Give me an F. That'll do.
Oh, well, you've changed a lot of people's lives, and you continue to change people's lives, and I think it is it's an almost indescribable thing to be part of the fabric of Seva, part of the family of Seva, and know that there's so much connection with what you brought and the values that you care about and the reasons that you did it. And I just am wondering, is there any parting? The people tuning in today are folks that are going to be all over the world, and they're celebrating. It's the summer of Wavy gravy. And I just wonder, do you have any messages that you'd like to say? We'll have partners, we'll have implementing partners, we'll also have thought leaders from around the world. They'll be listening, and I'm just wondering if you would like to say anything to them before we say thank you and let you have the rest of your day.
Well, my life, I lifted off of the beautiful quote of Tagore, where you take service and turn it into joy. And then the bumpy, lumpy road becomes a smooth and glorious highway of love.
Yeah.
Yes, joy to the world.
Joy to the world. And to the people out there who are watching that you just referenced, you're watching something about Seva because you're drawn to that. So thank you, and thank you for your good work, and I'm part of your team.
We need all the help we can get. At least I do. I'll put it.